What's up, everyone? Time for a throwback review. A 15th anniversary throwback review. Hard to believe that 15 years have passed since the National released their album Boxer. This date in 2007. This was the band's fourth studio album, coming 2 years after Alligator. This is an album that's definitely grown on me, and as I'll go on in this review, I think it's one that goes really underappreciated. Even though is one of their more popular records, people usually tend to go, "Oh, their classic stuff is better. Oh, their newer stuff is better," which is really good. The National are my favorite band of all time, and I've always really enjoyed a lot of the songs off of this record, but experiencing the album as a whole is just something that you really have to take in, and I'll go into that in my review. Boxer was recorded in a very, very stressful time for the band. Their previous record, Alligator, had been a huge hit in the US and the UK. It was their highest selling album to date, and it's almost like they kind of, after their tour, took a break and recorded some of this album in Aaron Dessner's garage and in, of course, their studio where they record all their other records. This is an album that is fraught with a lot of different stuff, from politics to love to relationships to ending of relationships to their own the mindset of the band at the time. And this is an album that is very unmistakably bleak, to the point, yet very memorable on a lot of the songs. Just look to one of the lead singles, Mistaken for Strangers, which people will hear that song and they'll think, oh, well, this is very of the time. It's very post-punky. They'll think of bands like Interpol. However, this is a song that stands out because of the way the band just comes together, makes a catchy song, but it also sticks with you. The meaning of the song, perhaps meaning, trusting the wrong people or something like that. Mistaking, or maybe not isolating, alienating your friends, mistaking them for strangers, really for your own gain or because you've been misled. As this is a song that I really do have to commend the Desners and Brian Devendorf, the drummer. They just come in with this brutal guitar and piano tones, along with the drumming on this record. It just works very well. And then there's the other single, Apartment Story, which is probably my favorite National song, or one of them. It's a song that, again, is definitely of its time, it feels like. Once you get into the lyrics about, being so tired and weary in a relationship, you might not even like this person, but you're still going to spend time because, of the weather, because of the circumstances, and you could interpret it many different ways. But I really feel like the lyrics on this album work very well, and that's something that Matt Berninger has always been on point with, is the lyrics and the inflections in the way he sings. It always feels very meaningful when it's coming from his voice, and that's not any different here on this record. The slower moments on this album do come in, especially near the end of the record. You get songs like Start a War, which could be a cultural or personal reference. Starting a war could be creating needless drama, creating, a problem that doesn't exist, or starting a war in culture. And it's something that's very cutting. And we get a track like Ada, which is a love ballad, kind of, but also not really that at all. It's really interesting when you go into the slower moments on this record, the very petitely and defined ones, just how much the lyrics and the instrumentation really mesh well. And Ada is definitely one that does that. Another song that really comes to mind is Squalor Victoria, which just sprawls in and out, along with being a quiet track at first, just sprawls on in and out. And it's something that you can listen to and think, okay, they kind of do this a lot through their career. The big drums with the instrumentation. What makes this song stand out? Well, if you're thinking about a song after you're done listening to it, it's still memorable in your mind. And this is one that I continually revisit. It's become one of my favorites, along with one of the most underrated cuts on here, Brainy. This is a song it sees them in the mindset of kind of digging into their own conscience. And again, the instrumentation is fierce and rapid here. Really some of the best drumming that Brian Devendorf has ever done. I really have to commend him on this record. The drums are excellent all through this record. And after that, we go into something like Fake Empire, the opening track, which is another one that is very sweet to the tone and, again, has kind of some interpretable meanings. We're half awake in reality. It could be like this, if we pulled together, but, it's just our own, fake empire, as this song was used as Obama, as a campaign song, I believe. It's a beautiful song. I love the pianos on here. And again, those drums just come in. And at first, when you hear the song, it might throw you off because you think, okay, well, do the drums fit? Yes, they do fit. I really do love this song a lot. And we go into another underrated song on this record, Guest Room. This is one that could be interpreted as of almost like treating, okay, we're held up in the guest room of a hotel or motel, but we don't want to be, in the world, as he calls it, a prison of jerks in the opening line. A lot of relationship stuff, a lot of cultural stuff. And this is another one that's just some great instrumentation by the Desners and, of course, the Devendorfs. They always do well. Scott Devendorf's bass is really prominent on this track. And then we go into the brooding closing track, Gospel, which is one that just keeps hitting you with this themes of almost, life and the hardship, but also some light at the end of the tunnel as well. As there's also some moments on here that you might think would really just slow. Okay, does this record have any slow moments? The slow moments on this record you might think, oh, it's the acoustic section. But even those tracks, the more laid back ones, like I was previously mentioning, Star to War and Ada, you can still pull so much from them. And that is definitely evident on probably one of my favorite songs on here, Slow Show. This song, everything about it, the way it builds up, comes down, builds up again, is just something that I find just so endearing. And they talk about a lot of the recording of this album and the tour on the great documentary, A Skin a Night. And this is one that I definitely recommend, just about how these songs really translate to a live setting. I would have loved to go to the tour that they did with this, but I was only like 7-8 years old, so I couldn't do that. But I highly recommend finding this documentary on YouTube. This is a Region B DVD because I don't know why it wasn't released in the US on DVD, but hey, I guess they did. This album was their final record on the Beggars Banquet Records. They would go to 4AD for their next album, High Violet, and my personal favorite record of theirs. However, I really feel like they went out on a high note, leaving their label here, as this album, again, was tremendously successful for them. So, all in all, to wrap up this review, I definitely think Boxer is one of the National's most underrated records. I think it's one that has continued to impact culture and indie rock as a whole. And while there are some songs, as I said, that I'm not as keen on here, definitely being one, Green Gloves and Ada, which I do like both of those, but Green Gloves, while it is Matt Berninger's Instagram handle, it's not one that I would pick out of a patch, but hey, that's just me. All in all, guys, I love this album. It's my second favorite National album, and I'm giving happy 15th birthday to the Boxer. I'm giving you a 4.5 out of 5. Let me know what you guys think of this great record. Play this album, spin it, CD, stream it, celebrate the 15th anniversary. I'll see you guys in the next one.